freewheeling cavalcade of circular motion, thus defined by the octagon table of double-wide mental introspection and dedicated utilitarian outward thinking defense of zero content. Translation: we ain't got nothing. Oh, hey folks, dude here. Coming to you live on Dude After Dark. I don't know how many more times I can put different invocations on that one, but I am currently here. Good stuff like that there, and hopefully things aren't going to entirely to sound guy. Why did I need the laser blast? Sometimes he just pulls stuff out of his butt and it's just no. I wasn't gonna say it was caca, okay? I was not saying it was now you're putting words in my mouth. I was not gonna say it was caca, okay?
Whoa! It's spicy!
Sound guy, I wasn't gonna do that at all. I was simply just sitting here glossing over metal potential items and thinking and
It was at this moment that he knew. He f***ed up.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
All right, now you're just being snarky, okay? That's a little too much, and it might actually be I'll allow that one, okay? That one was definitely an allowable caca. That one could be potentially something I'll allow, okay? All right. I don't know about chime. I don't know if you're gonna get the chime. All right, the ding's fine. Okay, chime is too far. Ding is okay. Shall we just jump right into the news, as it were? Okay, I was not gonna say it was wee.
Snoo!
Okay, I wasn't gonna say it was snoo either, but okay. Let's just, in any event they're in, let us just not even ponder the notion, but just do that which we need to do. Okay, 3 minutes in, and we're just basically going roundy round, and you're just being
You're despicable.
I'm not despicable. Never mind. Anyway, so looking at things as it is looking closer and closer, like the border crisis and financial kerfuffles and just all means of things that are just kind of really not working all that great. The GOP is now putting out the notion that potentially, possibly, maybe they may even think about potentially just saying, Joe Kaka, you need to. Yeah, you just need to go bye-bye, okay? So anyway, they're now seeing things as it is, and of course, they're now positing the notion where you potentially have Joe Kaka being impeached. Yeah, so the worst part about it is obviously you get out Joe Kaka, you put in Kamala. Okay, that's not her. That's not her ringtone. That's not her ringtone either. The heck was the all right, anyway, so going into things as it is, we're now almost 5 minutes in, me playing around with Sound Guy and his Sound Guy. No. Well, maybe if there was a Mrs. Kamala with Kamala, you'd be hearing sound effects like that. Okay. Anyway. That's me plaintively, complaintively, figuratively just tapping to try to figure out the way out of this mess that Sound Guy put me in. All right. So anyway, looking at things in the room. It's a little quiet right now. Oh, Martina Sasquatch is back. Squatch reporting in from wearing Brentwood camo, aka Pearl Snap shirt. I'm moving in 34 days and a wake up. Okay. Martinez Sasquatch, are you moving out of the dreaded land of fruits and nuts? Going to speak on San Francisco. No, okay. He actually is a California resident. So, if you basically get tired of San Francisco, and I'm sorry, if you get tired of California, Frisco. No, you don't need San Francisco. You don't need San Francisco because it's just yeah, it's it's definitely San Francisco. Okay, well anyway, hopefully he's moving out of California someplace good. And let me jump into the fray of things. Like I said, the GOP representative is now hinting that there's a major move towards impeaching Joe Kaka, also known as President Joe Kaka Biden. This one coming in from PatriotAlerts.com. Of course, way too many blanking pop-ups. Quote, unquote, that's where we're headed. Representative Scott Perry, Republican from Pennsylvania, has revealed that a House oversight is potentially planning to impeach Joe Biden following the recent revelations of criminal activity and obstruction of justice within the Biden family. Okay, so essentially this is the pay-for-play stuff coming out to be that they're now going, okay, and enough of this crap. Speaking of enough of this crap, it seems to me right now there is many places that are trying anti-gun legislation, and between Heller and Bruen, the Supreme Court is saying, no, not doing it. Nice try. We're going to basically put injunctions on this. We're going to put holds on this, or we're going to simply say it is not constitutional because, oh yeah, you guys are looking at something that has not been something that even when you try to espouse it as, oh yeah, it's traditional because this happened in the past, it's pretty easy to say that this stuff really didn't happen in the past and it's not something traditionally unique, and it's just not going to have fly. California, but a part of the state which is more cherry apricot plantation, so it'll be more fitting. I'm thinking more like Jefferson. Martinez Sasquatch. More like Jefferson? Yes, potentially that could just be a home run out of the park. And I did the baseball one. I talked to you guys about that one. I'm looking at some of my stuff. I think some of the stuff I actually talked about. Talked about that one. Talked about that one. Talked about that one. Talked about that one. Man, that's older stuff. Yeah, a lot of these news stories I'm looking at going, I already spoke on these. Still in line with Highway 4, Contra Costa County. Okay, I don't know California to save my butt, but it sounds like a nicer place, dude. Oh yeah. Federal judge grants injunction temporarily blocking enforcement of the Illinois gun law. And a federal judge in the Southern District of Illinois issued an injunction Friday afternoon after assault weapon ban is unenforceable. Judge McGlynn ruled the state cannot enforce the ban until the court can make a decision. Yeah, it's all this stuff is now getting really, really bad for them, and it's getting very, very interesting. These news stories I spoke on. Hang on a second. Let me scroll. Scrolly. Oh, this one is interesting. I haven't spoken on this one before, but this one is very, very interesting. This one coming in from PatriotJournal.com. The Supreme Court, the entire Supreme Court, even including those guys who go very much towards the other side of the aisle, read like the four very Democrat-leaning style, justices. Those guys are essentially, literally all in complete agreement saying, no, you cannot do these things, and see that the legislative can now go against the judicial. It's literally like the judicial telling the executive, no, you can't do these things, and the executive going, I have equal power to you guys. You guys have power of the purse, but I am the executive. I administrate from top to bottom, bottom to top, all the way around, left, right, center, all the rest of the good stuff. I'm the guy that basically drives the bus. You're the ones that put gas in the bus. Okay, let's just see things for what it is. Potentially, you might even say, like, here's the route that the bus has to take, but I can still take a left turn instead of taking a right turn when it comes to looking at the bridge straight ahead of me. Excuse me 1 second here. All right, so in this news story, it says, for seeing Democrats trying to unravel the Supreme Court, thanks to the conservative majority, the left cannot exploit the court to push their agenda, so they tried to pack the court to gain a majority. When that failed, they launched attacks against the court's top conservative majorities. Clarence Thomas, perchance? And he even said, when he was going through the process, and they were just doing everything they ever possibly could to try to silence the man, he said, you know what? I will be treated as the outside party. I will have racism lodged against me, and it's going to be blatantly obvious in the way in which they do these things, but I'm not going to change how I am. I'm not going to change how I do things, and I'm definitely not going to change how I adjudicate from the bench. So going further into the story, the Democrats in the Senate tried to pull stunts to bully conservative justices. There's even floated false claims of corruption to force justices like Clarence Thomas off the court. All of this is in gross violation of the separation of powers. And the Supreme Court of Justice of the United States refuses to stand for it. Now, all 9 justices are putting Democrats in their place. From the Daily Wire, all 9 Supreme Court justices issued a statement late last week pushing back at the attempts by Senate Democrats to implement new ethics oversight measures over the nation's highest court, which comes after the political left has tried to generate controversy surrounding 3 conservative justices in the recent weeks. That was 3 conservative justices. The letter, which also addressed recent threats against justices, had reached a fever pitch last year when a leftist reportedly attempted to assassinate up to 3 conservative justices. The Democrats fear what the conservative Supreme Court might do to their agenda. Already the court has overturned Roe v. Wade, shut down state gun control laws, and protected many Americans' religious and free speech rights. In the coming years, the Supreme Court can undo many of the left's radical socialist plans. So, they have tried to stir up controversy against top conservative justices in the court. Democrats even suggested passing laws that would lead to the justice being railroaded, being on a trumped-up charge. So, the full court issued a statement shutting down the left scheme. Chief Justice Roberts of all people, refused to attend a hearing hosted by the Senate Judiciary Committee, which is his right. And furthermore, if he had attended it, he'd be giving credence and he'd be giving these guys the ability to go further with this potentially unconstitutional action they're trying to take. And the court is rejecting attempts by Democrats to manipulate their work with new bogus laws. Why is it so bad if Congress tried to pass a law controlling the Supreme Court? The court is one of the 3 branches of the federal government. The Supreme Court of the United States was specifically created by the Founding Fathers to hold Congress and the White House in check. If Congress can pass a law that would lead to the justice being removed, it would erode the court's ability to hold the Congress accountable anytime the court made a ruling that the Congress didn't like. They just threatened to impeach a justice. See how insane that would be? If the Democrat-run Senate wasn't crazy enough to pass the kind of law, you better believe it wouldn't last a day. The Supreme Court has the power to overturn laws. The idea the Democrats will even try this stunt is ridiculous. So, co-equal branches of government, they cannot supersede the Supreme Court. They are on equal footing. And in some cases, the Supreme Court is actually a step higher because they can go, that's unconstitutional. And they just pitch that law. And the Congress just goes, oh, snap, we didn't get to do this. No, you didn't get to do this. Talked about Tucker having a job offer. I'm seeing this one as complete and total gaslighting. This whole thing about Putin going on. It was an assassination attempt. This drone attack on me. Okay, the video that I saw was like, the classic Russian building with those kind of weird, almost Arabic looking kind of construction style roofs with the the little thing sticking up in the middle. It was one of those things, and you see the drone going, and it got to the top of that roof, and perspective being what it is, I don't think it even got to the building, but I think it got in course to one of those roof things, and it was going and just went pop. So in perspective, and that's kind of one of those classic things that you guys can see with camera. I mean, literally, if I basically have my hands like this, you really can't tell that one is actually in front of the other with that whole camera perspective thing, because if they're close in size, they really don't look. You really don't see depth and perspective with cameras. That's just literally one of those classic old camera tricks where you can literally stage things up, where you have like the main thing going on, and then you have like some other things in foreground and some other things stacked up behind it. So literally it looks like dude's driving around on another planet's surface. Well, he's just driving around the back lot with a bunch of crap stuck in front of the camera to make it look like they're on the alien planet with some other crap stuck in behind him. So the surface that he's driving on is actually sheltered by the wall and by the wall behind him of effects and more effects. So that's kind of one of those classic things. So, I mean, it's even so much funnier to think about it, but as high tech as everybody is, the easiest way to fake somebody seeing a quote unquote UFO is you have the camera going, right? So you're running the camera and you're like, oh my God, there's something in front of me. It looks like a UFO. Another guy has a UFO painted on a piece of glass. And at night, there is no reflection. So he then takes the piece of glass and he's literally flying it around in front of the camera as he's moving the glass around. The UFO is like, bobbling and weaving and whatnot. And then finally it just goes and just flies out of frame. The guy takes the piece of glass and like ducks it down. And the guy's like, oh my God, I just saw me a UFO. So that's the classic one. And it is so convincingly, appropriately out of perspective that even the pros are like, wow, what the heck was that on film? That looked like something that shouldn't have been there. And it was in front of the star field and it was in front of the camera. And we didn't see anything that made it look suspicious, because at night, you're not going to have reflections off the glass. The stars aren't bright enough. And if you don't have any light shooting at the glass, there's no reflection. So literally that UFO, quote unquote UFO flying around doing its thing and, on frame, you really won't have to worry about, does it look like, oh, there's aliens around and they're doing stuff and they're doing their various things. And I got to worry about, do aliens really truly exist?
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
Okay. I sound guy, there is no such thing as like, fake glass aliens. Okay. That's obviously fake. Real aliens? Well,
I say we take off and nuke the entire bitch from orbit.
Okay. I think we're pretty safe in saying that you are going to be talking about the no zone. Yeah, you're definitely talking about the no zone. All right. In the no zone.
No. 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 Hell no. 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 I refuse. No. No zone.
Oh, isn't that cute? You made it the cop out nose into the no zone. All right. Well, anyway. So Putin is now saying, "Oh, these drones from Ukraine come flying over and try to take me down." Dude, if you don't have enough security to stop a little drone going pop, which basically looked like a fireworks going off above this building, I didn't even see any building damage. Okay. So potentially you really kind of just yeah, you pretty much just you tried that one and it just didn't go. Hey ho, these are the jokes, folks. Yeah, I'll be here all week. So anyway, that one just didn't fly, and it's pretty easy to demonstrate that, dude. No. No. I don't know if you guys heard about this one or not, but supposedly the U.S. Navy, I really, that's something I got to get. I got to get a sound clip of in the Navy Why? Because we're talking about, well, the U.S. Navy has now hired an active duty drag queen as the face of a recruitment drive.
But I pooped from there.
No, don't, sound guy. No. Wow. Just no. Sound guy is really kind of talking about some serious how do I say this without saying this and being pejorative?
Death by snoo snoo.
Okay, that's not snoo snoo. That's more just yeah, just let's just
Come on, squeal.
But I pooped from there.
Are you done? Anyway, so this one's coming in on a tweet from the NewYorkPost.com. One day ago, Yeoman Second Class Joshua Kelly, who identifies as non-binary, was appointed the first of 5 Navy digital drag queens in the recruitment drive. Okay, I gotta tell you guys, as you know, being former Marine, there's one of the classic things that the Marine Corps and the Navy always does. The Marine Corps always teases the Navy about being gay. And of course, the Navy always teases the Marine Corps about being, you know, their retarded little brothers. But I'll take that one over being, you know, like, you know, the Navy. Hoorah! Semper Fi. Carry on. Anyway, it's pretty funny because a lot of Marines would just simply say the Navy was gay already on that shell, the fur. Okay, sound guy. I think we're talking enough about the you know, the other side of the aisle in the. Oh no. Okay, I don't even know the slightest clue about what he's talking about. Going Pac-Man and oh no. I got it now. He's talking about Pac-Man. Yeah, I got it, sound guy. Yeah, I got it. Pac-Man. I gotta tell you. Oh no, that's not true. Would that be a way to describe? Never mind. I'm if it smells like fish, it's a tasty dish. Okay, that I shall say no more. Oh, sound guy, you're kind of you're kind of traipsing in the territory we probably never ever should go. Um, yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking there, Martina Sasquatch. And Ruby says traditional gay seamen are probably ashamed by his silliness, and that's kind of one of those classic things. You know, obviously there is gay people in the military, but it's not like you get on the boat and the guy's like, "Hi, I'm gay. We should be hanging out together." And it's like, "Why? Because I'm gay. We should be hanging out." It's like, no, it's not like that at all. It's like, oh, hey, I'm, you know, Seaman so and so, you know, I'm blah 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 blah. I'm, you know, I'm a gunner's mate, second class. To this and the other thing. It's like, oh, okay, cool, man. Where you bunking at? Oh, this and the other thing. Oh, all right, man, cool. Yeah, I'm on blah 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 section of the boat. Da 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 da. We cross paths again. Nice to meet you. Da da da. Most boats have a few thousand people on board. It's not like you're really going, hi, let's sneak off to some place and, you know, kind of how do I say this without saying this? Yeah. Let's sneak off somewhere and yeah, I don't think that the Navy guys are like, let's sneak off somewhere and really have a good time together and because as soon as you get caught by somebody higher up, you're going to be in just a little bit of trouble. And you, you're done. Okay. You're just,
What?
yeah, you're going to be suffering a bad case of, yeah, most assuredly, you're going to get slap. Yeah, that's not going to work out for you. All right, let me get a palate cleanser here, quite literally. Sound guy, be good, okay? I don't know if you guys heard about this one or not. This one coming in from zerohedge.com, but this is one potentially you probably want to take into account. Now, the classic survivalism thing is, obviously dry goods, they store for freaking forever. I mean, especially when you have stuff like sugar and honey. I mean, that stuff essentially just stores forever. I mean, they pulled honey out of like Egyptian tombs, rehydrated it, and it's still honey. It really hadn't changed. Excuse me 1 second here. All right. So anyway, looking at the news story, your classic survival stuff. I'm going to get back into task here. Your classic survival stuff is you think dry goods. Now, if I was going to do it, I'd obviously have the Mylar bags that fit into the 5-gallon buckets. The 5-gallon buckets, you obviously could just pick up from like Home Depot. They will say a 5-gallon bucket and a lid. They're orange, obviously. But you can get the Mylar bags that fit into that. And then they have these cool little battery-powered welders that literally weld the bags shut. Classically, kind of like, let me just pull something up here. Classically, like, the welds on the bottom of a plastic bag. Before you do that weld, obviously, it's just contiguous plastic. So you put the weld on there, it's now sealed. Hang on a second here. A really distracting ad bugging me. Hang on a second here. Try to say yes. Get out of there. Beat it. All right, that's really damn annoying. All right, I think that actually worked. All right, so anyway, the little welder guy goes on there, and it's just like a little piece of nichrome wire, and it gets hot. And all it does is it gets to a certain temperature that's at the threshold of not quite burning the plastic, but it'll weld a seam. So you then have a bag that is now welded. Well, obviously, if it's welded, it's now airtight. So this one is actually one of those kind of shipping bags, has the holes in it. So it doesn't say inflated when you put items in and put it in the packing. But in your classic bag, you would either have a Ziploc, which can work, but it's not exactly the best thing. It's actually better to have a weld. So in that Mylar bag, you put in your items, and you're going to store your items in there. Now, if I was going to do this, I would do a couple things first and foremost. If you're going to do long store, and your classic survival food, this is absolutely your classic survival food, is you want to have long cook, not minute, but long cook rice. If you want to go an extra step further than that, you do brown rice. So the long cook rice obviously is stuff that has the nutrients on board without being stripped to make it into the minute rice. The minute rice is actually very good because literally it's a 50-50 proposition. You add hot water to it, you reconstitute. 5 minutes later, you can eat it because it's basically just rehydrated. It's really just dehydrated rice that's had like the germ and the other stuff stripped off, and it's really pretty much just starch. Now, complete rice is actually with the germ. It's got, the endosperm on there. It has all the other good stuff on board. That's going to give you your trace vitamins and the other stuff besides the starch. So your normal long cook rice, you take that, the bag of that you buy from the store. You never, ever, ever, ever assume, see you later, Martinez. You never, ever, ever, ever assume that there's no bougies on board. There's no bugs in there. There's nothing that got in there in the transport time where maybe a little minuscule hop in, a bug hopped in there, crapped out some eggs, and the bag is now not good for long term. Because short term, you can probably pop it out, eat the rice, what have you. There's not going to be an issue. Long term, obviously, the bugs are going to be saying, this is great. We all just hatched and we got plenty of stuff to eat. Don't do that. The classic thing to do is you take the bag of rice. You take the bag of rice, you put it in your freezer for 3 to 5 days. In the process of 3 to 5 days, all the bougies are dead ducks. There's no other way they're going to be able to survive that. They are done. You then take that bag of rice, you open it. Obviously, you could probably have an appropriate size strainer that's just big enough for the rice to not fall through and anything else to fall through. Sieve it off real fast, dump that crap out. That bag that you just basically dumped out, cleaned out, froze, and all the rest of that fun stuff, dump that into your Mylar bag. So that Mylar bag is about, most of the way full. Then what you do is you have a tank of nitrogen, and then you have a feeder tube. And you literally take the feeder tube and you run it through the bottom of the bag. You don't pierce the bottom of the bag, obviously, but you run it to the bottom of the bag and you crack the tank of nitrogen. Very slow. You don't go too much too fast because obviously you're going to put out liquid nitrogen or you're going to be putting out cold nitrogen. You'll freeze the bag and do damage to stuff, and that's not what you want to do. So what you're trying to do there is you're trying to infiltrate the bag with carbon dioxide or nitrogen. Nitrogen is preferable with 78% of the atmosphere. It's a neutral gas, and basically nothing survives in it because it's not oxygen. Hey, Practical, how you doing, man? Appreciate you coming by. So anyway, he's obviously somebody new in the room. So looking at stuff as it is, you now have that infiltrated with the gas. I would say probably nitrogen being preferable. Carbon dioxide does work, but carbon dioxide combined with moisture in the air makes carbolic acid, which is not good. You don't want to have carbonic acid in your stuff. So nitrogen being a neutral gas obviously is better. Once it's been infiltrated, it's basically heavier than atmosphere to some degree. So it's going to basically fill. It's going to fill to a certain level. It's just going to basically stay in that. You have the bag continue to be pooped into by the nitrogen. And as you're pulling it out, you zip the bag closed with the welder. Now, you basically now have a bag that as long as the bag is intact and it's in this 5-gallon bucket, it's long store. And it is long store pretty much in a perpetuity because you've now given it a neutral atmosphere that can't oxidize because, oh yeah, there's no oxygen. You basically have flushed out all the oxygen by running nothing but pure nitrogen in there. You welded the bag shut. You don't have the bag pressurized, but it is basically like atmospheric pressure where the bag is still pliable. It's not pressurized. So that's one way. You have the rice in the one. The second one is, I would probably say, something like kidney beans or any of those black beans, any of those, hardcore legumes. And the dirty little secret is rice and beans, you can survive on that stuff for a really, really, really long time. More so if you have a garden going and you start bringing potatoes into the mix. And obviously, if you start bringing other, wild edibles into the mix that give you trace elements, obviously vitamin C, obviously you're going to need other stuff too. But anytime that you infiltrate that bag and you remove the oxygen, the rice, beans, any of those other things that you're doing long store on are good for the long term. Now, why do I bring this up? Because this story on zerohedge.com, zerohedge.com/commodities/global rice shortage looms to be the biggest in decades. This one was posted up on Wednesday the 3rd. So, quote, rice is the primary food source for over half the global population, especially in emerging markets where it plays a crucial role in feeding people. Last year, we highlighted potential for severe global rice shortages. A new report reveals that the rice production this year could be the lowest in decades. A report from Fitch Solutions forecasts the year's global rice production will log in the biggest shortfall in 2 decades. The deficit will be a major headache for countries relying on grain imports. Now, we really, truly don't have to worry so much about rice in this country because, 40% of the rice grown in this country becomes Budweiser. Well, probably not going to be using as much rice this year for some reason. Practical says salt. Very important that we store salt. Obviously, yes. If I was going to store salt and I'm going to go for, good trace elements, all the rest of that stuff, I'm going to go with sea salt. Iodized, probably you want to have some of that around as well because obviously, trying to find iodine in the middle of the country, there's not a whole hell of a lot of seaweed. There's not a lot of, good, sea sources. So obviously, you probably want to have, obviously salt in your larder. It's cheap. It's easy to find. Probably want to have some sugar. Definitely honey. If honey crystallizes, all you got to do is just heat it up and it goes right back in the solution. It's easy stuff. So anyway, they're saying at global levels, most evident impact of global rice deficit has been, and it still is, a decade high rice prices. Now, that's one of the other dirty little secrets about living in the United States is, unfortunately, our sugar prices are high. And that's because we have a tariff. And the reason being is we're trying to get people to use American sugar versus world market sugar. You go to most places on the planet, a kilo of sugar, It's $1.30, maybe 75 cents. It's cheap. United States, it's like about, $3 or $4. Why? Because we have the tariffs in place. So that's why they use, even though it's more expensive than sugar, that's why they use high fructose corn syrup, because they don't have to put it in solution. They pump it out of the rail car, they pump it into their system, they pump it into you, and you're drinking soda sweetened with high fructose corn syrup. Not me. I use sugar, okay? Sliding rice production in China, the U.S., and Europe are already causing grain prices to increase for 3.5 billion people, particularly in the Asian Pacific region. The region of the world accounts for 90% of the world's rice consumption. Quote, given that rice is a staple food commodity across multiple markets in Asia, prices are a major detriment to food and price inflation and food security, particularly for the poorest households. He said the year's shortfall would be around 8.7 million tons. The largest global rice deficit since 2003-2004 of 18.6 million. As a result of tightening global supplies, rough rice futures are trading on CBOT recently peaked at $18 per CWT. I think that's going to be crude weight ton or something like cubic weight ton. The highest level since September 2008. COT is a unit measurement of certain commodities such as rice. Okay, I think we got that part. And you can see the scale of it. It's kind of like, it dropped. The lowest point it actually was at was like 2000, 2004. Then it spiked in like 2005, 2009, with 2009 or so being like the highest. Then it dropped back down. Of course, it really hasn't gone down to its previous levels. But 2015, 2019 was at pretty much lowest point. And now it's climbing back up again. So anyway, CNBC provides a breakdown of why rice supplies are strained. There's a short supply of rice as a result of ongoing war in Ukraine, as well as bad weather in rice-producing economies like China and Pakistan. In the second half of last year, swaths of farmland in the world's largest rice producer, China, were plagued with heavy summer monsoon rains and floods. Well, who's also like the largest consumer of rice on the planet? Oh, yeah, probably 1.4 billion Chinese. Yeah, rice is a vulnerable crop and has the highest probability of simultaneous crop loss during the El Nino event, according to a scientific study. It would probably behoove you to have at least 25 pounds of rice and beans in your larder, long store, and ready to do what it needs to do, just to simply hedge bets. If nothing else, you very easily could go, oh, you need some rice? I'll sell you some rice. If you got the rice to sell, that's a commodity that's always available. Just give me 1 second here. This is one of those stories where I think potentially that, Hades might be freezing over. But they're now positing the notion that there might be felony tax and gun charges for Joe Kaka's kid. Hunter Biden might be looking to get zapped. Federal prosecutors let slip they're considering bringing up to 4 charges, 1 a felony against Hunter Biden. 2 sources familiar with the internal deliberations told NBC News that the embattled son of President Joe Biden, also known as Joe Kaka on this channel, may be facing 3 misdemeanor counts of tax evasion and 1 felony gun charge relating to a false statement he may have given to authorities. No, there is no may have given. There is he did give it. On the pistol, revolver, and firearm form that you need to fill out for the approval to purchase a firearm, going through the Federal Bureau of Investigation, National Instant Check System, and the secured side of things known as the BATF, or the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, explosives. There's a form known as the 4473. Every time you buy a firearm, you got to fill out one of those forms. And you have to put on there, I attest and I affirm, I'm not lying like a dirtbag, that I am not XYZ. Boop. I'm not doing this, that, and the other thing. Boop. And you have to check and you have to state, under penalty of law, I'm not doing these things. Well, when you come down to the one question, am I a habitual alcohol or drug user? And you say, nah, not at all, man. And you've been shown multiple occasions with the crack pipe just blazing away, including in your laptop and other occasions where you were a known drug abuser, it's a little bit of a problem because that's going to come back to bite you in the butt. How hard? Well, it remains to be seen, but I can tell you for a fact, if you say that you're not doing it and you are doing it at such time that you're filling out the paperwork, you got a you got a problem, okay? Mostly because when it comes right down to it, you just stated on public record that you didn't do it, and potentially, yeah, you're only one. Okay, he's talking about severe ass chomping. Two sources familiar with internal deliberations told NBC News that the embattled son of the President Joe Biden may be facing three misdemeanors. The sources cited "quote unquote" growing frustration that despite conclusions to the investigations by the IRS and the FBI over a year ago, that charges have still not been brought. Ever wonder why these things? I got to go very Andy Rooney. Ever notice that charges don't go up against people who are politically connected? Yeah, very Andy Rooney moment there. U.S. Attorney David Weiss, an appointee of President Donald Trump, who was retained by the current president, is ultimately responsible for making a decision on the matter. Dude, if you want to talk about dealing with getting a bad case of right in the nether regions, you're probably going, do I lose my job or do I, uphold the laws? Dude, you got to uphold the laws no matter what happens to you, okay? The IRS Criminal Investigation Division, the Labor Department, the Office of the U.S. Attorney of the District of Delaware are all declined to comment. Misdemeanor tax evasion in the IRS can carries a fine up to $250,000 per offense. Okay, and how many times did they say he did it? Let's go back up here. 3 misdemeanor counts. So that's $750,000. And making a false statement to the FBI carries a sentence up to 5 years in prison. Remember that National Instant Check I was telling you about? What agency actually does the background check for your firearms purchases? That's right. It's the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Yeah. So the investigation into Hunter Biden, who struggled publicly with drug addiction, began in 2018 when investigators began probing his business relationship involving foreign companies attempting to gain a foothold in U.S. government relations. The younger Biden, along with associate Rob Walker and his family members, earned at least $11 million during his father's time in the vice presidency, and thereafter by partnering with the state-owned Bank of China, as well as foreign companies tied to the country's communist government. Yeah. Since taking control of Congress in January, House Republicans have expanded their investigation of Hunter Biden's business dealings in an attempt to uncover whether President Biden was aware and helped in any way to facilitate them. Only thing I got to say is you guys got to see that movie, My Son Hunter. Really gives a lot of background information. A whistleblower of the IRS recently told the House Oversight Committee that the agency's investigation is being mishandled. I would say probably on purpose to avoid, it's being mishandled to avoid. Are you done? Citing evidence at odds with testimony from political appointees and detailing examples of preferential treatment for high-profile individuals under investigation. Would you stop with the dog chomp, okay? It's annoying, all right? Anyway, so it's coming out to be very interesting. Yes. I'm going to blow that one off. I'm going to blow that one off. Speaking of Supreme Court of Justice problems, yeah, this one is very, very interesting. And this one's coming in from, hang on a second, let me kill a pop-up. This one coming in from RepublicanDaily.com. Scroll. Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor is called into question for recent left-wing attacks on Justices Clarence Thomas and Neil Gorsuch. But in the last few weeks, she's basically been found out to be doing something. Yeah, she received over $3 million for her books, which Penguin Random House Publishing, and didn't recuse herself from the case in which they were involved before SCOTUS, where the company stood to lose money. Is that a pay-to-play? Technically, Supreme Court justices are pretty much in there until they die. That's just how it rolls. They're pretty much in there until they die. The only way you get them out is you actually can impeach a Supreme Court justice. Yeah. Speaking of, give me that dog chomp again. Thank you. Speaking of, are you going to let me talk? Okay. Speaking of, thank you. Speaking of, dog chomp, Anheuser-Busch is speaking directly to customers and distributors, stating all the chaos stemming from their partnerships with transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney is the product of, quote, one single can, end quote. All right, I don't believe that for a moment. I think right now Anheuser-Busch is getting more than a little bit of All right. The brewery shared a message with wholesalers addressing the backlash ravaging the brand and nosediving sales, according to a report. Quote, this was one single can given to one social media influencer, the letter states. It was not made for production or sale to the general public. This can is not a formal campaign or advertisement. Hey, hang on a second here. Hey, you guys, you want it both ways. Give me 1 second here. You want it both ways. You want to say, oh, yeah, we're so woke. We don't have any issue whatsoever with the trans community. And we are all, so beholden to whatever the what's-its are going on now with any of the, XYZ PDQ plus letters. We think everything is just ducky. And we fully support them. So much so that we're going to actually basically let this guy, who's not a girl, but a guy that dresses like a girl, say that our brand is the best because, well, we just think he's all that. Slight problem. You pull this guy out of the, the woodshed or the whatever it is that he's doing, and you say, this is our guy. And everybody takes one look at that and they go, drink this beer?
Yippee-ki-yay,
Immediately, they pick up that can or the picture of that can, and they see him, and they're no. So anyway, the letter wholesalers were shared with local restaurants, bars, and retailers throughout the country by the Missouri-based distributor Gray Eagle. The report noted. Gray Eagle distributes Anheuser-Busch products, including Bud Light, in the greater St. Louis area, including a cover letter to Anheuser-Busch's included a cover letter to Anheuser-Busch's message, quote, Anheuser-Busch did not intend to create controversy or make a political statement, the letter read. Okay, you guys are saying that to each other. You're not saying it to the general public. And pretty much what you just did, you just told everybody, you people are not worthy of being explained to, and we're just going to call you a bunch of douchebags. Yeah, you're going to be calling calling the customers a bunch of douchebags, because if you don't support us and support him, you are unworthy of our product. And everybody's like, you know what? No, we're not buying. We're not buying it. And could be said very simply that Budweiser, you trying to explain it to your own guys doesn't fix the problem. All it does is piss off the general public even more, and they go, hey, man, that knocking on the door is me saying, I'm not doing this anymore, man. Yo. And it is funny when you have, Anheuser-Busch, InBev, call it what you will, Bud Light, whatever you wish to call them, their beer sales have dropped like 26, 30%. Well, what's picked up the slack? Miller Lite, Coors Light, Yingling, all these other non-Anheuser-Busch / InBev beverages are picking up the slack. Patriot Fever, appreciate you coming on by, dude. I guess you had to deal with a little bit of, how do I say this without saying this? He probably was dealing with a little bit of, yeah. And it became time to change the diapers. Uh-oh. Yeah, he had to clean up the diapers. This week on Diaper Detail, Patriot Fever is now pulling them out, cleaning them up, and adding on a new one onto the pile. He's regretting that time when he had a little bit of... because now he's dealing with diaper detail. All right, enough of that sound guy. I think he gets the message. He did the deed. Now he's doing the deed. now he's doing the do deed. All right. So basically, the news story is such as that Anheuser-Busch is now doing a bunch of oh crap activities to their own guys. They're not admitting fault, and they're not saying, okay, we really misread the room. And they really misread the room. Yeah, that is bad. Scrolly. This is kind of interesting. Of course, you have Joe Biden going on about, well, I'm not going to cave into these Republicans, these MAGA Republicans. I'm going to keep doing stuff the way I'm doing it because that's the way I do stuff. Come on, man. I'm not like them at all. I'm going to basically follow in way, shape, and form that my handlers have told me to do, and I'm not going to change them in midstream. Well, I'm going to say it basically the way I said it, and obviously if I'm cursing, I'm going to clean that up. But on Facebook, I said, if I was McCarthy, I'd start by saying, quote, "Afternoon, Mr. President. Now that we got you to listen, here's what's happening. If you fail to do what we say, we will say you chose not to agree with us. Then we will walk. Guess what? You can answer why we aren't talking, and you can claim anything you want. But we also have the power of the purse, and we will not be made to give you an insane, spend crazy budget. And no sitting president looks good when there's a government shutdown and furlough. Remember, remember that? You listening, or do we walk? Decide, but do not try to truck us, or we will return the favor." And that's basically what needs to have happen. Is McCarthy needs to say, "Look, there's no more of this deal making behind the scenes crap. We're not playing games like the old Rhino guys. We're not them, okay? Plain and simple. We are not them." So anyway, in this news story, which is coming from RepublicanDaily.com, Joe Biden wants the debt ceiling raised and all the rest of this fun stuff, but he wants the spending to be raised as well. Now, the dirty little secret is if you take the federal budget and you go from 2023 and you go to 2022, that budget is way smaller. But the dirtiest little secret is every federal agency is allocated the money that they get. They spend every single penny and they beg for more because they can't survive on that little tiny amount that they had last year. They need even more. Well, that increase that they basically get is every single year, and it is ridiculous. So even though they haven't actually utilized all the funds correctly, they've spent all the funds, and they can always ask for more. So here's what needs to happen. Previous budget, they function on that, and the agencies that are kind of redundant, or one of those things where you basically have one agency doing something and the other agency doing something else, and they're exactly almost the same thing, but the two don't talk to each other, even though they're accomplishing the same quote unquote accomplishing the same mission statement and task. That kind of redundancy needs to be removed, and that's major issue in the federal government. There's a lot of over expenditure and there's a lot of crossover stuff, and people really tend to not talk to each other. And of course, everybody goes, "Oh, I can solve it better than this guy because we're the better agency. We're blah, blah, blah versus blah, blah, blah." So the thing about it is now is it's getting to the point where Yellen is freaking out going,
It ain't gonna be much longer before Grandma here has to beg for money on the corner because the budget's gonna be FUBAR.
You know what? She needs to get called out too. Yellen is a major problem, and nobody ever goes, "Oh yeah, Grandma is really looking suspicious here," and all the rest of this fun, happy horse mess. It needs to be called out for what it is. Yellen is exactly part of the problem. The Fed is another part of the problem. And of course, everybody keeps playing these games with the interest rates, trying to cool off the hot economy. That's stupid. The other major problem is also you have 96 or 97, 98% of the population is not like the 2 or 1% of the population who are getting mega freaking rich. Now, let's be perfectly, clear here. I am a good capitalist. I'm a libertarian, but I'm a good capitalist. If anybody basically invests the what's it and they make $1 bazillion doing it, God bless them. Congratulations, good work. But if you're in a failing company and you get the golden parachute and you grenade that company and you still walk off into the sunset with 22, 25, 30 freaking bazillion dollars and the company is destitute, you never should have gotten dime one, because you basically did like that classic Bugs Bunny thing where you see him riding the thing down and he steps off just in time for it to go splat, and he just kind of goes boop and just walks away. he had the softest of landings. That's what these CEOs are getting. They're crashing and burning these corporations, and they're still walking off with cake. That never, ever, ever, ever should have happened. Now, I think what's kind of interesting is the banks are starting to get called on this. But why were the banks doing this in the first place and not getting fixed? Because the federal government was sleeping at the switch. So that's why you have like that Silicon Bank crapping out and all the rest of this fun stuff going on now with all these other banks that are really kind of sketch, because they've been supporting ESG. They've been supporting all these other false premises. They really haven't been profitable, but they've been doing it because they haven't been called under the carpet by the federal government. So where we are now with this stuff is really, it needs to get fixed. Speaking of something needing to get fixed, and this is kind of one of those, how do I say this without saying this? Soros. Yeah, this one coming in truthpress.com. Soros lost one of his prosecutors that he propped up and got elected. Yeah, she got booted. Well, actually, she booted herself before she got hung out to dry. Because potentially she could have gotten
I say we take off and nuke the entire from orbit.
Well, that would have been interesting too. But so Kimberly M. Gardner, a St. Louis circuit attorney who's been accused of failing to perform her duties. Does that sound familiar? Kind of like these guys get elected and they don't do anything. Oh, kind of like that guy that's been, trying to get Trump in New York City. What's his name? Bragg or something. He has had so many times where he's taken a felony and knocked it down to a misdemeanor. But for Trump, he took a misdemeanor and knocked it up to a felony. Why is this going on? Maybe because, I don't know, they've been like put in place by a corrupt, evil communist? Yeah. Patriot fever. Grandma, what a hungry wallet you have. Yeah. So anyway, she's now resigned effective June 1. Oh, she should have been resigning like effective, like December. She posted her letter of resignation on Twitter, May 4, 2 days after visiting Judge John Torbitsky ordered 7 out of 10 claims filed against her by the Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey to move forward. Okay, she's not walking away from this one. Bailey filed a writ a quo wantro against Gardner in February, a legal proceeding seeking to oust her from an alleged failure to perform her official duties. Bailey asserted that Gardner had forfeited her office in failing to her duty to protect the public. The move was initiated following public outcry after Janae Edmondson, a Tennessee teen, had both legs amputated following a car crash involving a repeated bail violator on February 18. Yeah, you remember hearing about that story? Some girl was like, all vibrant and really in amazing shape, sports this, that, and the other thing, and she basically got splattered by this piece of crap. Yeah. According to Bailey, Gardner's other failures to take prosecutorial action resulted in some 12,000 criminal cases being dismissed, quote, endlessly frustrating courts and victims desperate for justice. Police are, quote unquote, drowning in drugs, seizing cases that are languished. Bailey wrote and alleged that Gardner's cases allowed arrest warrant applications to go, quote, unprocessed for more than 8 months. Bailey also accused Gardner of agreeing to, quote, extraordinary bond reductions, end quote, and failure to seek bond revocations for suspects charged with violent crimes. Gardner had vowed to fight the attempted removal from office as recently as April 29. Quote, what you're seeing is a witch hunt, she said during a meeting with supporters, a recording on KSDK News and posted on YouTube. Quote, I'm not leaving. I'm not resigning. I'm not doing nothing. You will have to remove me, Gardner said. Okay, you arrogant piece of... hang on a second here. I got this. I got this. Hang on. I got this one, sound guy. You arrogant piece of... hang on. Let me find a good one. Oh, yeah. You arrogant piece of... Yeah. Yeah, I like that one. You arrogant piece of... She said her decision. Sorry. In a resignation letter, Gardner said it had been an honor of a lifetime to serve the people of St. Louis, who had twice elected her. She said her decision to leave office was motivated by a bill advanced in the Missouri legislature that would make the city attorney a position appointed by the governor rather than an elected one. Quote, it's hard to think of a more direct or brutal assault on our democracy, one that mirrors the attacks in Jackson, Mississippi, and throughout Florida, Gardner wrote. You know what? You dirty, nasty little...
Uh-oh, retard alert! Retard alert, class!
You. Yeah, just be gone. Quote, there's absolutely no reason for Circuit Attorney to remain in office until June 1. We remain undeterred in our legal quest to forcibly remove her office, Bailey wrote. Okay, you want to forcibly remove her from office? Arrest her.
Dick!
Yeah, arrest that.
You dick!
Yeah, arrest her. Gardner's among many progressive prosecutors who received backing from billionaire financier George Soros, according to the Missouri Times. Now, I do reserve the right to, refer to him as Palpatine. George Soros, you are just. Yeah, you just. Yeah. Just
shut the fuck up.
Yeah, just you're bad juju, dude. Anyway, so looking and thinking about George Soros. Yeah. Judges from 22nd Circuit Court handle cases from Gardner's office issued a statement saying they are, quote, deeply concerned about the high volume of serious criminal cases scheduled for trial in the coming weeks without assigned prosecutors. Oh my. So it's basically set this thing up for failure. And everything went completely kablooey. Dude, I get it. She's been... Oh, yeah, Soros. I can fix him. Yeah. We hope St. Louis next circuit attorney is successful in restoring... Let me try that again. We hope that St. Louis's next circuit attorney is successful in restoring stability to the office and rebuilding its ranks with experienced prosecutors. This whole Soros getting prosecutors elected is literally his cheapest way to screw the process, because he's found out trying to get like senators and congressmen and even presidents elected is really, really blanking expensive. Putting a prosecutor in there that completely can screw the process, that guy could put it in there for cheap. And if you want to talk about Soros, yeah, George Soros. Yeah, it just... Yeah, it's just... Yeah, he's like vomit gurge kind of... Yeah. Okay, there's nothing funny about George Soros. Yeah, he's just bad.
Oh my.
Yeah. So scroll. Okay, let me close out with this one. This is a particularly idiotic thing that I've found that really just makes me go, you people are idiots. All right, so they call this thing the Pluffle. So Pluffl. And it is a dog bed. Not just any dog bed. It's a $400 dog bed. Why is it a $400 dog bed? Because it's a human dog bed. The size on this thing, is nothing short of ridiculous. It's 68 inches long, 35 inches wide, and has a pluff factor of 14 inches. I cannot do this justice, but let's just say one of the pictures shows a chick laying in the thing with like a Labrador-sized dog, and the dog is like maybe like about not even half of the bed. Okay, it is just ridiculous. They say it's two colors: Arctic gray and biscuit. Biscuit being like a kind of like a tan, like almost like a field darker. No, it's not field darker. It's basically like it's just tan. It's tan or it's gray, and the gray almost looks purple. Folks, if you need to spend $400 for a human dog bed, you're just freaking stupid, okay? $400 for a human dog bed. Oi, just oy vey. That's all I got, man. It's just oy vey. That's literally all I got. Wow. All right, Patriot Favorite, appreciate you coming on by, man. I know you got many other things going on and good stuff like that there. All right, folks, I'm going to break up with this one. Eco Tip Thundering is always, you know what, you love it. Thank you so much for coming by on a Tuesday. You got many other things to do, and I will see you guys next week. Hopefully your week goes good, okay? I will catch you guys then, and see you guys later. This one in review if you decide not to catch it live. See you guys then, and I'll catch you next week. See you guys.